I found out at Coachella, literally last weekend, that a close friend of mine had basically really fucked me over in ways I could have never expected, and I got sent proof and receipts, and that person admitted it to me that they had done it.
I do not support Evan Johnson in any way, shape, or form. Let me make that fucking clear. I don't support him, I don't support violence against women, and I sure as hell do not support the disgusting, deplorable, violent, heinous acts that he committed against Kayla Malik behind closed doors.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. Trust me, y'all. I know. And all I could say right now is after court.
Just letting everyone in Australia know that James Charles is sleeping with Evan Johnson, the one that broke Kayla Malik's jaw and badly beat and abused her, the one that was in prison. James Charles has been housing this motherfucker, flying him out to sleep with him.
So James Charles is back in hot water, and this time it might just be the scandal that finally sticks. Now, James, famous makeup artist, influencer, and unfortunately repeat offender when it comes to controversy, he's been caught in scandal after scandal and somehow always slides by with a long apology video, a break from social media, and a slow return with a new palette or tutorial. This time the betrayal cuts deeper. Let's get into why. This whole drama exploded after 20-year-old influencer Kayla Malik took to a podcast and quietly dropped one of the biggest emotional bombs we've seen in a while. No clickbait, no theatrics, just raw, heartbreaking honesty. You could hear the weight in her voice, like she'd been carrying this for months, maybe longer. The kind of honesty that doesn't need dramatics because the pain alone speaks volume. She did not just say any names, no dramatic reveals, no direct callouts, and yet her words painted a vivid picture. You know, when someone speaks with that kind of heavy, tired voice that makes you stop scrolling? That was this. Her voice cracked in places, like it was holding back more than what she was saying. It felt real, too real. Kayla described the betrayal so personal, so close to home, it did not feel like drama. It felt like grief. She wasn't talking about being ghosted or unfollowed. She was talking about being stabbed in the back by someone she loved and trusted. A best friend. Someone who said they had her back. Someone who knew her trauma and decided to betray her anyway. And the betrayal, it was a minor. It wasn't just shady texts or gossip behind her back. It was worse because Kayla found out that this very friend had gotten romantically or maybe even sexually involved with a man who had deeply hurt her. A man she did not just call an ex, a man she accused of abusing her, Evan Johnson. We're not talking about a messy breakup, we're talking about trauma, about fear, about being manipulated and mistreated by someone you once thought you loved.
I found out at Coachella, literally last weekend, that a close friend of mine had basically really fucked me over in ways I could have never expected, and I got sent proof and receipts, and that person admitted it to me that they had done it. And I don't want to the thing is I don't want to talk about it because right now, for at least because I'm still healing, court's coming up. This is probably the last thing like that. I'm not trying to make this thing a whole drama.
You're dealing with a lot.
Like literally,
to everybody at home, like, I hope you guys realize that behind the scenes, like, she's dealing with real stuff. Like, she's sharing with you guys, you know, pieces of the story, but she actually has to live this. So, like, outside of the videos and stuff, she actually has to deal with
in this, like, once I'm done pressing record, it's like, okay, then I sit there and I stop for 30 minutes.
Kayla did not just hint at what happened. She told her truth. She said Evan had subjected her to multiple instances of domestic violence during their relationship. So when she found out that her close friend was involved with him, it wasn't just painful, it was a violation. She said she confronted this friend calmly, not with anger, but with a desperate need to understand. And the response, no lies, no denial, just a flat-out admission. Yes, I did it. Like it was nothing. Kayla said she saw the proof, the messages, the evidence, the betrayal. But here's the thing, she couldn't name them, at least not yet, because Kayla was still waiting for the DV case against Evan to be heard. That meant she was under legal restriction, bound by the court to keep certain things quiet, even when she wanted to scream them from the rooftops. And yet, despite the pain, she showed restraint. She did not run, she did not throw anyone under the bus. She told her story with clarity and strength. She let her truth stand on its own, and that kind of calm honesty honesty, that is what made people listen. That is what made the pieces start to fall. While fans were still deep in speculation mode, connecting dots, decoding podcast clues, and combing through TikTok comments, TikTok creator Michaela Testa came in and completely blew the lead off. No cryptic messages, no half-truths, just pure and filtered truth. She dropped the kind of bombshell that instantly breaks the internet. James Charles, the same Charles who was publicly seen as Kyla's close friend, had allegedly been flying out and hooking up with Evan Johnson. Same man Kyla had just bravely spoken about, the same man she accused of putting her through hell during their 9-month relationship filled with trauma and abuse.
Just letting everyone in Australia know that James Charles is sleeping with Evan Johnson, the one that broke Kayla Malik's jaw and badly beat and abused her, the one that was in prison. James Charles has been housing this motherfucker, flying him out to sleep with him.
Kayla's reveal wasn't just messy gossip, it was a shocking betrayal with real-life consequences, because this wasn't just a casual fling. James wasn't out here dating someone random. He was allegedly sleeping with someone who had caused real pain to a woman he once called a friend. And not just any kind of pain, we're talking about DV, the kind of trauma that leaves sores most people never see. Internet did what it does best. It exploded. Comment sections turned into war zones, tweets started flying, side-by-side timelines and receipts started loading for you page. People were stunned, disgusted, and heartbroken for Kyla. Because when someone you've trusted stands beside the person who hurt you, that doesn't just feel like betrayal, it feels like being hurt all over again. It begged the chilling question: if this is what James does to his friends, what does loyalty even mean to him? In case you missed it, Evan Johnson isn't just some background character in this story. He's the root of the trauma, the reason Kyla had to even come out in the first place. He's not just her ex-boyfriend, he's the man she bravely accused of multiple instances of domestic violence during their 9-month relationship. And she did not keep it vague, she laid it all out in a 20-minute video posted in early April. The kind of video that makes you pause everything, grab your phone lighter and listen. In that video, Kyla did not sugarcoat anything. She detailed the emotional manipulation, the control, and the physical abuse she allegedly endured. You could hear the exhaustion in her voice, the kind of tired that doesn't come from a lack of sleep, but from carrying pain for so long. It wasn't about drama, it wasn't folklore, it was about reclaiming her voice, her truth. Shortly after the video went live, things moved fast. Evan was arrested. It was one of those moments where justice actually felt possible, but the relief was short-lived. Evan made bail and was released as he waited his court hearing. And yet, the internet rallied. For once, people seemed to be on the same page. There was overwhelming support for Kyla. Her comment sections were flooded with love. Fellow influencers were reposting her video, showing solidarity. For a moment, it felt like the internet had a soul. It felt like maybe, just maybe, truth and accountability could actually win. But then came the betrayal. Then came the news about James. And just like that, all that unity, all that clarity felt like it was being mocked, because how can someone claim to be your friend, claim to support you, and then turn around and sleep with the very person you accuse of abusing you? James's involvement did not just complicate the story, it shattered the illusion that Kyla had people truly in her corner, and for survivors watching from the sidelines, it was a painful reminder of how often they are gaslit, dismissed, or betrayed even by those closest to them. Let's be clear, Kyla and James weren't just casual industry acquaintances. They were friends, actual friends. You'd see them in videos together. Kyla sitting in James's chair while he did her makeup, laughing like siblings, filming content that looked effortless and real. They posted each other, tagged each other, supported each other's work publicly. If Kyla trusted James enough to share her deepest pain privately, then what he did wasn't just disloyal, it was cruel on a whole different level. When Kyla spoke about it on the podcast, she kept it classy, she did not name names, she didn't play the petty game, but her fans aren't clueless. People started connecting the dots immediately. They flocked to TikTok, flooding the comments with guesses and suspicions. Was it James? Could it really be him? And in what's now become a kind of modern day confirmation, Kyla quietly liked every comment that named James as the betrayer. She did not have to say a word. That was her answer. That was all anyone needed. So yes, James Charles, who once stood beside Kyla both online and and presumably in real life, was now allegedly flying out and sleeping with the very man she says abused her. It is not just betrayal, it is a full circle emotional ambush. A friend she trusted flipped the script and aligned himself with someone who, by Kyla's own words, traumatized her. And the worst part, Kyla said this friend admitted to the betrayal. That means James did not even deny it. He did not spin it. He just shrugged and casually said, yeah, I did it. No apology, no explanation, no moment of accountability, just silence. It wasn't a messy rumor, it wasn't betrayal with intent, and for someone with a platform as big as James's, that refusal to even acknowledge what he's done, it speaks louder than any sorry video ever could. Fans were shook, and rightfully so, but in typical internet fashion, a surprising number of people still ran to James's defense. You saw comments flooding in like, we don't have actual proof, or maybe Kyla took it the wrong way. Others tried to twist it into a misunderstanding, or worse, accused her of lying. But then came a voice that shattered all the speculation. Zach Seller. If you don't know him, Zach was once a close friend of James and also a fellow influencer. He wasn't just some random person chiming in. He had receipts, experiences, and his own story to tell. On an episode of the Be Better podcast, fittingly titled Investigating James Charles, Zach dropped bombshell after bombshell. He confronted that James had in fact been messaging Evan Johnson. And we're not talking about friendly vague texts, we're talking about full-on dirty, flirty messages. James calling Evan daddy and even sending selfies, not suggestive, not subtle, straight up explicit. Zach didn't just hint, he laid it out. He described the text, the photos, and the way James seemed completely unbothered by who Evan was or what he had allegedly done to Kyler. It wasn't about love, it wasn't about a connection. It looked like obsession, recklessness, and complete disregard for consequences.
They were in communication every single day. When I speak on that I was with Evan every single day, I was with Evan majority of every single day. The only time I was not with Evan was when he went to Miami and then when he went to California. The times that I was with him, James would use Instagram as his Snapchat. And I didn't know, like, was not aware, like, why does James not have Snapchat? Like, why is he using Instagram photos, sending back and forth?
I can tell you why he doesn't have Snapchat, because he was caught texting 16-year-old boys on Snapchat. That's what he was canceled for.
Wow.
So I assume he deleted his Snapchat and now he's using Instagram.
Yes. So the second encounter, I was wondering because there was more to Evan just saying, you know, like, James has asked me to come, you know, stay with him, to come visit him, you know, just to get away because he knows I'm going through depression. Well, there was, you know, some pictures going back and forth, and it was just James, like, you know, just got home, shirtless, and, you know, just laying on his bed, and then he'll just be, like, in his room doing, like, something, you know, angle like this and stuff like that, just trying to, I guess, look pretty for Evan. So Evan was engaging back with, you know, pictures, and, like, you know, Evan would just sit here and, like, pull his phone up and be like, you know, stick out his tongue and stuff like that, just kind of, you know, trying to, I guess, engage into, like, what James is, like, I guess, trying to get to.
Right.
Anyone still wondering if this was just drama with no proof? There it is. It wasn't just Kyla's word anymore. Zach's account, combined with Kyla's experience, painted a picture that was hard to ignore. Pattern. And there are now multiple people coming forward. At what point does it stop being a rumor and start being reality? Now, you'd expect James to address this, right? Like clockwork, maybe another one of those overly edited, dimly lit apology videos, you know the type. Hoodie on, sad piano music, a strategically placed succulent in the background. The kind of video where every pose feels rehearsed and every sentence is crafted to dodge accountability while sounding reflective. But this time, nope. No fox remorse, no I'm learning and growing speech. Instead, James went full threat mode. Rather than own up to anything, James allegedly tried to shut down the noise by going after Zach Sellers, the one person brave enough to speak publicly. With detail and with receipts, Zach revealed that James did not just block or ghost him, he took it a step further. He contacted Zach's modeling agency, not with questions, not with concerns, but with an intent to sabotage. Instead of addressing his own actions, James tried to nuke Zach's entire career. A career Zach had been working hard to build, piece by piece, with no major scandals, no hassle and honesty, and now he was being jeopardized because he chose to speak the truth.
Guys, okay, some crazy stuff's happening now. So I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys. My modeling agency received a crazy, insane email. Let's just say this email is from James Charles's team. They are now going after my career that I have worked so hard for just because I am speaking the absolute truth. They are now trying to silence me completely. They do not want me to speak another word about the situation. Let me just tell you what they kind of said. So, it said, apologies for the Friday evening email. My firm represents James Charles Dickinson, and I would love to have a frank discussion with you at your earliest convenience regarding your client, Zach Sellers. Is this not insane to you guys? James, what are you doing, bro? Like, you know what you did and you know what I'm doing. It's speaking facts. Why are you having them try to come to me and shut me up? If this is what you want to do, take your legal action.
Think about how calculated that is. Not a reaction from anger or confusion, but a deliberate professional level move to silence someone, to intimidate them, to make an example out of them. Because why? Zach told the truth. Because he dared to say what others were too scared to voice. James did not sue him for defamation, did not publicly dispute the facts, he just tried to end his career quietly behind the scenes. That is not just damage control, that is manipulation. That is weaponizing power. That is what abusers do when they feel exposed. And if James is willing to do that to someone who was once his friend, what else is he capable of doing to people he sees as threats? Zach's podcast episode, the one where he exposed all the flirty messages, the daddy texts, and the risque photos, it slowly vanished from YouTube. People who watched it the day it dropped are now going back and finding nothing. Dead links, broken searches. It's as if it never existed. It is starting to feel like James isn't just ignoring the situation, he's actively trying to scrub it from the internet, the same way you'd clear your search history when you've got something to hide. And it's not that subtle either. This feels deliberate, strategic, and honestly a little scary. Because this isn't just about saving face, it is about silencing truth. When voices like Jack's start to disappear, it raises a much bigger question. How many others have been silenced before they could even speak? And just when you think it can't get worse, rumors start flying that James might have even been the one who bailed Evan out of jail. The man who was arrested after Kyla's abuse allegation. The same man who she says traumatized her for nearly a year. And James allegedly helped get him back out onto the streets. All for what? A hookup? If that is true, it takes the betrayal to a whole new level. We're no longer just talking about poor judgment, we're talking about James possibly using his wealth and influence to protect someone accused of serious harm, someone who left a woman broken enough to go public with a painful story most people would have kept buried. It is giving no morals, no boundaries, no loyalty. It is giving everything for clout, nothing for conscience. Let us not pretend that this is the first time James has done something inappropriate. If you followed his career even casually, you already know that this is a new territory. It is a pattern, a long, exhausting, messy pattern. Back in 2019, fellow beauty influencer Tati Westbrook released a new infamous video accusing James of using his fame and influence to manipulate straight men into romantic or sexual situations they did not want to be in. The video sent shockwaves across the internet. For days, James trended at the top of every platform. His subscriber count plummeted, his reputation took a hit, and it seemed for a brief moment that consequences had finally arrived. But then he apologized, cleaned up his social feed, and started a slow crawl back into public favor. And people, they forgave him, they moved on, as they always seem to. Fast forward to 2021 and the scandal cycle repeated itself, this time even darker. Two underage boys came forward accusing James of sending them inappropriate messages, and instead of denying it, James posted a carefully worded taking accountability video where he claimed he did not know their age but still admitted fault. Uploading makeup tutorials, launching new products, getting brand deals like nothing happened. This man has a pattern, and the industry lets him repeat it. He's not just controversial, he's dangerous. Not in the sensational tabloid way, but in the insidious, protected by fame kind of way, because every time he's caught, he spins a redemption out. And every time enough people buy into it to keep him going. But this time, this isn't just another slid into the wrong DM situation. This is about betraying a domestic violence survivor, about allegedly supporting her abuser, about using influence not just to get away with things, but to erase the people calling him out. This isn't drama, this is harm, this is abuse of power. And if history repeats itself again, if he skates by without any accountability, what message does that send to every victim, every survivor, every truth teller who watches him walk free? It is not just a scandal anymore, it is a crisis of conscience. Let us be real for a second. If this entire situation had been reversed, if a female influencer had done even half of what James is being accused of, would we even be having this conversation? Picture this. A 20-year-old man bravely speaks out about being in a toxic, allegedly abusive relationship. He shares his trauma with the world. He opens about being hurt. And then the man's close friend, a high-profile female influencer, turns around and starts sleeping with his abuser. Not only that, she goes on to try and sabotage the career of someone who exposes her. She makes calls behind the scenes, possibly bails the abuser out of jail, and allegedly wipes evidence from the internet. What we do need now isn't just another wave of online outrage that fades in a week. What we need is real, lasting accountability. We speak up for people like Kyla, who had the courage to come forward despite knowing it could cost her peace. We amplify voices like Zach's, who chose to tell the truth even when it could destroy their career. They are not just tea spillers. They are people risking something to shine light on the kind of behavior that too often gets swept under the rug. And most importantly, we start demanding that influencers and public figures stop using their fame as a shield. No one should be allowed to weaponize their platform to silence, manipulate, or hurt others without facing real consequences. James Charles may be used to getting away with things. He may be used to dodging backlash, faking growth, and watching the storm pass. But this time, maybe, just maybe, karma isn't just knocking, it is banging on the door. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't hold back. Like if you agree, subscribe if you want more truth, more transparency, and more conversations that actually matter. Because one thing's for sure, this story, it is far from over, and we'll be right here when the next chapter unfolds.